Shout out to everybody. Your boy is back. I do want to say this, as far as the Kaleidescape, I am having some issues with it. And one of the biggest issues I'm having with the Kaleidescape, I am downloading movies and finding out they do not have Atmos. Sometimes you kind of double dip with the movie depending. And, when I look at movies on a 4K UHD and then I look at them on the Kaleidescape, sometimes it is a little bit better on the Kaleidescape as far as the visuals. The sound, for the most part, is the same. The only real difference, like I talk about the movie Brightburn, it was like a lot different than the 4K UHD, but I think it was just like a different audio mix that was put in there. Because on the Kaleidescape, you can hear Brandon from Brightburn like screaming, running through the house, but on the disc, 4K UHD disc version is not there, you know what I mean? But I think it may be on a Blu-ray if I'm not mistaken. But as far as like some of the movies that I do see, like if I double dip, they do look a little bit better on the Kaleidescape. Alien Romulus is one that looks a little bit better on the Kaleidescape, and it sounds a lot better on the Kaleidescape. But for the most part, the sound is going to be on par, about the same as the disc, if it's the same format. But, and those rare occasions you do get, the Kaleidescape does sound a little bit better. And I guess they, the mezzanine file, whatever it is, they compress it a little bit less than disc, So, sometimes I do double dip. Now, I have been finding more often than not, some movies that I am purchasing on the Kaleidescape have been in DTS and not Atmos. So that is becoming a problem, and it's not just one or two titles. It's about like 5 titles, 5, 6, 7 titles, that I'm starting to run into. And the latest one is Mount Everest, which everybody knows has one of the best audio tracks on the 4K UHD disc. It's Dolby Atmos, right? And, I'm like, okay, well, let me see what this sounds like, on the Kaleidescape. Let me download it on the Kaleidescape. And I didn't think to look to see like whether or not it was in Atmos, because the Kaleidescape is the ultimate experience. You would expect it would just have like the Atmos on it, right? And I downloaded and started playing it, and I'm like, yo, this doesn't sound like the 4K UHD disc. Like, what's up with it? And I looked at my Anthem AVM 90 and I saw that it was saying DTSX, so it's being upmixed, through Neural X or whatever. And so that is kind of disheartening. And I ended up messaging Kaleidescape and letting them know this movie is, there's an Atmos track on the 4K UHD disc, and there's not an Atmos track on here. Can you guys update the Atmos track? And they give you kind of like a placated email, basically saying, oh, well, thank you for reaching out and letting us know everything. We will let our team know about it, and, potentially in the future, we can go ahead and do a software update. I mean, I've sent them messages about numerous different movies. Nothing has happened. They haven't updated those movies or anything. And I'm starting to come to a point to where, I don't know if this thing is worth it, like worth keeping. Kaleidescape is cool if you are renting a movie, and you just want to watch it once or twice, because I think you got 30 days to watch it. It's like Apple TV, and then like, once you start playing it, after 48 hours it deletes. The cool thing about it is that you can rent it and get the 4K UHD quality. But if we're going to keep running into issues to where, some of these movies don't even have the Atmos track available, like that is an issue. And another one is like the Tomorrow War, right? It's like Atmos on Amazon Prime app, but then on the Kaleidescape is DTS. It's like, I mean, it's a number of movies that are like that. So it's like, if this is going to be the ultimate experience, people are paying like $4,000+ for, I think you can get like the Strato E cheaper, I think like $2,000 or $3,000 or something like that. You can get it cheaper, but you only get like 5 movies. On the Strato V is what I have. Like you can get 10 movies on it. They did some sort of update. I don't know if it affected file size or whatever, but sometimes now I'm getting like 14 movies. Before I would only be able to fit 9 or 10 movies, and now sometimes I get 13 or 14 movies I can fit on there, which is good. I don't know how that's happening, but more often than not, that's happening. So I'm not mad at that, because it's more movies being downloaded to it. I like that. But as far as the content, downloading movies and then finding out that they are not Atmos is annoying. It is annoying. And then the problem about the Kaleidescape, right, is that if you make that mistake, like if you don't really look through everything and you make that mistake, because you're automatically assuming this is the best product, right? You're gonna get the best movie, the best experience. You're gonna think it's Atmos. But if you make the mistake and you buy the movie and you find out that it is not Atmos, you can't get your money back. And I think that's a problem, like in itself. Maybe if you guys can figure out a way to maybe refund people who haven't really watched the movie all like that, these things are digital, like the movies are digital. This thing is online. I'm sure you can tell like whether or not somebody watched the movie, if they watched it in its entirely. Obviously, you don't want to do a refund, but if somebody start watching it and find out that it's not an Atmos track, they should be able to, if they went into it like thinking that they're going to get the utmost experience with this product, there should be a way to get a refund from it, So I don't know. Y'all tell me what y'all think in the comment section below about that. I get it. Some people, some consumers, they don't feel like they should get anything. They think that they should just spend a whole bunch of money and get nothing for it. There's a lot of people that argue that, what I mean? Oh, it's amazing. Like, just who cares? Like, what I mean? If it doesn't do X, Y, and Z, who cares? Like, even though you're spending tons of money, like there are people like that in this world that don't feel like they should get what they are promised. You know what I mean? And I'm just not one, like, and maybe some people feel differently because they did get this as a loaner. Or maybe somebody got it like at a discount or whatever, but I bought this thing, and buying it, I want to be able to experience everything that comes along with it, and I will say Kaleidescape makes the buying experience of the 4K UHD a lot simpler, simplified. You just buy it, that's it, right? And then it starts downloading. So that's a great thing about it, and like the picture quality is phenomenal. It's amazing. And sometimes it does look better than 4K UHD. It does sometimes, but very rarely, but it does sometimes look better than 4K UHD. It's sometimes you're going to have a little bit more data available for the disc. You know what I mean? Sound wise, it's comparable to disc. You know what I mean? It's about the same. Sometimes, very rarely is it better, but it's about the same. But if I'm going to be running into issues to where I'm constantly getting, DTS instead of Atmos, what's the point? You know what I mean? What is the point? You know what I mean? I'm going to have to buy the disc anyway, so I can get the Atmos. So why am I going to be holding on to a Kaleidescape system? The cool thing about the Kaleidescape, I will say, sometimes they do come up with updates, right? Like the Tron Legacy movie, there was an update. They updated to Atmos. But one of the issues that I found, like when I updated the Tron Legacy to Atmos, is you had to pay. If you wanted to get like the newer 4K version, you had to pay like more money to get the 4K version. Like it's not just like updating it to 4K. You had to like pay like an extra fee. So that's one thing that's kind of like annoying. You know what I mean? Like I've already bought the movie, if you can like update the movie, but I mean, I will say like with the regular HD version of Tron Legacy, they did offer like an Atmos track for free, but if you wanted the 4K version, you had to pay, to get it. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Y'all tell me what y'all think. I'm looking for Tron Ares to come out, but now it's kind of just like a lot of movies when they hit Kaleidescape, they're already on Apple TV. I'm starting to see that a lot, so is this thing, are we really getting movies before Apple TV? I don't think so. You know what I mean? Very rarely, if ever, you do, but for the most part, it's like every time I see something available on Kaleidescape, like they may do something to show you, oh, pre-order, right? And you will see the cover art or whatever, you can pre-order it. But, if you really look, like you could do the same, you know what I mean? Like when it gets released, it'll be released on Apple TV. The only cool thing about the Kaleidescape is you're going to get the 4K UHD quality. Whereas like on Apple TV, it's going to be maybe a tad bit better than streaming, but it's still streamed. You know what I mean? Like the visuals are going to look good, but you're not going to have as much dynamics and stuff like that. So it's, it's a win for Kaleidescape. But, if we're running into an issue to where some of these movies don't have Atmos, bro, like it's Like, this thing is just not worth it. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Y'all tell me what y'all think down in the comment section below. I'm just an owner of this thing, and that's one of the gripes that I have, because some movies I'm still buying the disc, and some people like buying the physical media. I mean, it's cool, but you know, you start running out of space. You know, some people don't want to just collect discs all day. You know, it's cool, some of them, sometimes I will, you know, but you know, I bought the Kaleidescape so I wouldn't have to do it as much, you know, and it's starting to seem like I'm reverting back to the disc, you know, and the Kaleidescape is not really giving me what it's promised to give me. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Let me know what y'all think down in the comment section below. Comment, rate, subscribe. Let me know what y'all think about that. Kaleidescape, please, if you can, make these movies Atmos. It's a lot of movies that are not Atmos that should be, or you should at least have the option to do Atmos. Also, you know, when we rewind a movie, or we go back in the movie, like, can you please put something out to where we're not stuck with subtitles? Like, stop trying to be like Apple and be like Kaleidescape, please. Like, that is annoying. Like, when you try to rewind, like, let's say you miss something, you try to rewind it. Next thing you know, the subtitles are there. You know, and it's like, well, I don't, you know what I mean? If I wanted subtitles there, I would put subtitles in there. Like, what is y'all doing? You know what I mean? And it's like, then you got to go to the menu. Then you got to go to subtitle. Then you got to turn off the subtitle. You know, and you might have just rewinded it like 10 seconds. And you got to do all of that. And then by the time you do all of that, you're like missing what you rewound the movie for. It's like, y'all are creating more issues than just simplifying the experience. Stop trying to be like Apple and be like Kaleidescape, please. And please give people an experience that you are marketing them to have. This is the ultimate experience with no Atmos on some of these movies. How does that make sense? You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. Y'all tell me what y'all think down in the comment section below. Comment, rate, subscribe. Let me know what y'all think about that. Peace.